The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, it is to act with yesterday's logic. Great quotes with Peter from Peter Drucker. My name is Jürgen Moors. I am a consultant, a strategic advisor, and a coach. And welcome to another day of the 30-day live stream on intrapreneurship. And why did I kick off with this quote? The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. Because today we are focusing on scaling efforts. And when you're scaling your entrepreneurial effort, you also learning all the time. So it's not okay to continuously look back at your yesterday's logic because it might change in the world where you are today. Now, why is scaling so important in your entrepreneurial efforts? When you look at your entrepreneurial journey, like I said, also with me, I started often in the beginning with one project or two projects as an entrepreneur. And my projects grew in size. And at a certain point in time, I had more projects going on. And during my masterpiece, I had a whole team of entrepreneurs, or I built my whole team of entrepreneurs. And we did a whole portfolio of 30, 40, 50 projects that were going on, 30, 50 to 50 innovations that were going on in the time. Now, if you want to grow to that, if you want to bring your journey to that, if you want to get to that point, you will need to scale your efforts. And the second reason why you need to scale your entrepreneurial efforts is, of course, you want to trial and error and experiment with your innovations, but you want to bring them to maturity and roll them out in your team, in your business unit, in your organization as a whole. And that is how you achieve those two things are the way that you achieve a huge amount of impact. And that's why you need to scale your entrepreneurial efforts. To have big impact, there are two ways. You grow your portfolio, you build your own team of entrepreneurs, and of course, the things that have reached a point where they can really be industrialized, your innovative efforts can be industrialized. That is also something that you want to do. And those two things are really crucial when you look at scaling. On the one hand side, like I said, scaling leads to impact. Impact can be achieved by a portfolio or by one or two innovations that you scale out to your whole organization. And that's crucial for your organization as well. Because if something works in your team, if a certain innovation works in your manufacturing environment, then if you have similar environments, it's important that the A also discover this innovation, that you bring them this innovation. And a lot of times, a certain innovation is discovered or developed, for instance, in a certain region. This can be United States, can be the US, can be Europe, and it is then brought into the rest of the world. So this is crucial for your organization, for your impact. Now, how do you identify opportunities that are ready for scaling? And this is one of the most challenging things. And I think I discussed this already before earlier. When you build a portfolio of innovations, when you build a portfolio as an entrepreneur, then you typically have two axes. You have the technological readiness level, meaning something that is really in a very early stage of an idea, as a really low technological readiness level, where something that is ready to scale to an industrial level typically has a, you know, it's typically on a scale from 1 to 9 as a level of 9. And a business readiness level is the same thing. When something is a new type of business model, it typically has a score of 1, where it is completely ready to roll out. It has a score of 9. And the portfolio of projects that you have should be in all of those areas, really new and really experienced, depending on where they are. Because those that are really mature, they are the ones that you're actually going to scale. And where do you typically put your efforts? When you have only one or two projects, when you say, for me, the success as an entrepreneur is bringing change, impact to the whole organization with just one or two innovations, then you bring, first of all, your projects from this very early stage to a mature stage, and then you scale them on a global level throughout your organization, and you create your impact in that way. Now, the prerequisites for this are completely different, because now you scale something, you take full responsibility, and then you as an entrepreneur also take responsibility to spread the news, so to speak, and to guide them into the other regions. And this is something, when you only have one or two or three projects and you are an experienced entrepreneur, that you can probably manage. When you have the portfolio approach, then you will see that you have this portfolio of projects scattered throughout this map, and then you have to look at mapping it, linking it to the right person. And then we are back to the session that we had on building the right team, gathering your team of entrepreneurs. And because entrepreneurship is a journey, you will also have a very diverse team of people who are just at the beginning of the journey and people who are actually at the end of their journey, reaching the level where you are, for instance, if you are towards the end of your journey and working on your masterpiece. So typically things that are scaling, you can give them to people who are just starting, because they have only focused or will focus only on one or two projects like you did in the beginning of your journey. And it's easier for them when the hurdles are a little bit smaller and they will just have to focus on the scaling aspect. You can also give it to a person that is already a long time working as an entrepreneur, and now this person has to scale it. So both are possibilities in mapping it. When you give it to somebody who's in the beginning, you of course have to be a little bit more on the sideline, because there can always be things popping up. Suddenly, a technology that is ready for scaling, that is ready for an industrialized environment, that has shown its ability in an industrial environment, meets a new, yeah, problem. To give you an example, is I rolled out a robot once, and it was ready to scale because it proven its worth in an industrial environment. The only difference that we did is we brought it to the outside. Instead of inside, we brought it to the outside. And bringing it to the outside, it was an environment where we had seasons. We had winter, we had summer, we had spring, we had autumn. And each of these seasons had its very specific aspects of a lot of rain, cold, a lot of wind, and other things. And this also influenced nature, where this robot would be operating, meaning the grass would grow, and it would grow higher than anticipated so far. So what we saw was at that point in time that although the robot from a business readiness level and then from a technological readiness level was ready to scale, in its new environment, in its industrial environment, it found a lot of problems, especially in the beginning of it. Now, the project manager or the entrepreneur that I put on there in my team was really experienced. So, in the very early stages, when moving it to its new industrial environment, he spent a lot of time on that. He also, whenever there was an issue or a problem that he encountered, he very clearly communicated. And within a period of a couple of months, they tackled all the new elements that this robot could meet. And from that moment on, it was a sail in the park, a sail on the sea, on a flat sea. Now, when that would have been a person who would have been in the early stages of his project, it might be that this problem would a little bit, or this person would be overcome with the resistance that other people would start to do, because at that point in time people started, of course, talking about it from, yeah, but this robot was ready to scale. What's going on? Why is this happening? And look at him. Yeah, look at the robot. He didn't meet his loading station again. So these aspects play a role, and because he was so experienced, he tackled them, he explained them, he communicated about them, he solved them. Somebody in his early stage might be get a little bit overwhelmed from suddenly all of the resistance and the talk that is coming. So you have to watch, once you have this map of projects and where they are, when you have your portfolio and you map them against the people that you have in your team and where they are in their entrepreneurial journey, immediately can also identify where potential problems are. It is perfectly okay to give a project at a very early stage to a beginner in his entrepreneurial journey because he can learn or she can learn with the project. This is also a moment where he or she can fail a lot. But depending on where everything is and how everything is linked to each other, the mapping in the portfolio and the mapping and the linking to the person, then you immediately know and are very aware in my scaling efforts where do I have to focus upon. Because there will be gaps, there will be certain mismatches, and that's where you focus on. Because typically your focus will be on early stage project because most of the resistance, most of the problems that need to be tackled, not necessarily technologically, are there. And when you have a junior person or a junior entrepreneur on that, typically they focus on aspects they know, meaning the technology, and not all the rest around it. That's something where you, as a guide, as an experienced, as a senior entrepreneur, then have to focus upon and also have to guide them in this, have to teach them in that. So when you're looking at all of the things, when you look at scaling, to summarize, there are two routes. You scale via a portfolio, or you scale via 1, 2, 3 innovations that you then roll out throughout your whole organization. And when you choose the second route, it is something that you as an experienced entrepreneur can do. And of course, you will learn new cultures and new problems in there. But chances are the chances that you succeed are really, really big. Whereas your portfolio, that's where you have to rely on building a team of entrepreneurs. And the team of entrepreneurs, they all will have been or all will be on a certain area in starting as an entrepreneur and being the experienced entrepreneur. And that mapping between the portfolio of entrepreneurs that you have at your disposal and the portfolio of projects and where they are that you have at your disposal, they will tell you the mismatches, the gaps. They will tell you where you, as a leader, as the leading entrepreneur, as the experienced entrepreneur, will have to focus upon. And this set of challenges will be completely different from the set of challenges when we looked at where I will roll out a certain project on a global basis. Chances are the things that you will learn, of course, in the first one, chances are they are bigger. So when you look at scaling, when you look at successful scaling, and when you look at a framework for that, I can only give you two things. There are two potential routes. Rolling out at an industrial level, on a global level, with a large impact throughout your organization, or setting up and rolling out a portfolio of projects with a portfolio of entrepreneurs, meaning your entrepreneurial team that you build and that you train. Those two ways will have our ways to scale and to have a huge impact on the organization. Two ways, two routes have a different expectation to you as an entrepreneur and also have different elements where you as an entrepreneur will focus upon in this scaling environment. Now, to conclude for today, I urge you to think about when I think about scaling my project or when I scaled certain innovations before, what were the reasons that I potentially failed? Or what were maybe mistakes that I made and I was lucky that they didn't go wrong? Was it because my mapping was wrong? Did I think about it in that way? Or was it something that happened in this one route where I always chose scaling on a global level? Because if you always have chosen the same route, whether it's the portfolio route or whether it's the global route, try next time when you choose a project or when you choose to bring innovations to take the other, because both are rather different. And you can only be at the end of your journey, you can only be this successful entrepreneur in your organization when you're able to tackle both routes. If you always done things yourself and you never built an entrepreneurial team, then that is where your next challenge, that is where your next growth mindset should go through, but also the other way around. So think about that from, did I tackle both routes? Did I completely scale innovations in those two different ways? And with that, I would like to say goodbye to you for today. And I hope to see you tomorrow on a Sunday for another episode of this 30-day live stream on entrepreneurship. And on this last Sunday of this 30-day live stream, we'll focus at overcoming resistance to change. And I already dedicated an episode about resistance, but still it returned in this week about advanced topics. Because if you graph this portfolio, if you go on a global level, you meet other types of resistance. Maybe people in your team meet resistance, and you will not be able to solve that. You are able to coach them in solving this resistance. And this is kind of a different approach, but that is something that we will talk about tomorrow. So see you tomorrow on this last Sunday of this 30-day live stream on entrepreneurship. Bye bye.